Hey everyone, I'm Armor Gaming, welcome back to my channel and welcome to Monster Analysis. Today I'm going to be analyzing Pandalfio. Pandalfio used to do the plumbing around the floating islands, but after years of seeing other monsters returning from war as heroes, he decided that he wants to go to battle too and become the most respected panda in the game. And as many of you know, he is based off Mario, so here we have him as a child, as a teenager, and as an adult. I don't know what's up with this thing right here. He has a baby too. But yeah, that's his design, and we're gonna move straight into stats. His power is 3,531, and in terms of metal monster, and talking about just the stat, the number 3,531, that is actually the third highest. But at the same time, if we were to rank every monster from highest power to lowest power, Pandalfio would fit at number 7, just because so many monsters have a power of 3,542. So keep that in mind. It's still a good power, and in terms of every single monster, it's definitely a superb power, but because metal monsters are known for being attackers, he actually falls in the middle for his power. His life is 28,651, and for metal monsters, that's actually on the higher end, putting him on number 5 out of 14. Again, if we were to rank him from highest life to lowest life, he would be number 5. Similarly, his speed is 3,432, and that also, if we were to rank him from highest speed to lowest speed, or from fastest to slowest, he would be ranked number 5. However, I should note that the speed stat alone, 3,432, that is actually the third highest for metal monsters. It's just that there's some monsters that have the same speed that are higher than him on the list. He is of course a metal monster, therefore his weakness is magic, and his trait, this is actually interesting, he is immune to burning, which can be a good thing, can be a bad thing. For some reason, lots of metal monsters tend to have an AoE burn, or at least like a single hit burning skill, so it's nice that he has a trait that blocks that burning. However, at the same time, lots of metal monsters tend to have stun skills, so an immune to stun would be better. And also at the same time, lots of metal monsters tend to be really hard hitters. You know, monsters that you're going to put 2 strength runes and they can one hit you, and especially if they have a special based element skill, they can one hit Pandalfio really easily. So I'm not sure how good exactly immune to burning is. And another thing I want to note, because Super Dan also had this, his max GPM is 244. So is this a sign that Social Point is going back to their old GPM? It could be, or it could be a mistake, so I guess we'll find out later on. And moving on to his default and special skills, we have Wrench Blast, 25 damage, 13 stamina, no cooldown. Sidekick Strike, 30 damage, 13 stamina, no cooldown. Both are 100 accuracy, but like usual, we don't really talk about these skills because they get replaced early on. His special, however, this is for my bros, deals very heavy metal damage. Very heavy metal damage here means 65 damage to all enemies. It's an AoE, may stun all targets, may magnetize all targets. So cool, it's an AoE, stun, and magnetize. This could be really helpful, especially if you can get it early on. I'm a huge fan of immobilizing special skills, so I really like it. Moving on to skills group 1, we have a skill called Metallic Melee. Deals moderate metal damage, 50% chance of stunning the target. You won't be using this skill, 50% chance to stun is not good. Companion Rush deals low special damage to all enemies, 20 damage, 31 stamina, 2 turn cooldown. You also won't be using this skill. We also have Rusty Bites, deals moderate metal damage, 50% chance to make targets bleed. So it's always nice to see a metal monster give an effect that no one is immune to, in this case bleed. 35 damage, 26 stamina, no cooldown. We won't be running this skill, but it does foreshadow that he'll have a skill later on that gives bleed that most likely we will be wanting to run. So we start things off at skills group 2, and I have to preface this by saying Pandalfio is one of those monsters that has really good skills, and there isn't an ideal best skill set for him, but he just has really good skills. So I'm going to analyze each skill, talk about them a lot, and then hopefully by the end of the video you guys can decide, and if not, I'll give my opinion on what skill sets are really worth running. We start off with a skill called Shocking Smash. Deals moderate special damage, may stun target, 40 damage, 28 stamina, no cooldown. Now what I like about Shocking Smash is of course that it is special damage, so you don't need to worry about that metal on metal attack, and it does stun. It's a good immobilizing skill. In my opinion, it's always nice to have an immobilizing skill. Now there's something a little bad about that. Lots of metal monsters you'll face, specifically in Team Wars, it's going to be Timerion, it's going to be Mechamancer, and it's going to be Metalhead. Metalhead is immune to stun, Timerion isn't affected by negative effects, and Mechamancer is actually immune to magnetization, so a stun skill would be helpful going against him. But if you spread it out to other metal monsters, a lot of them tend to have the trait Hardened, which gives you a 20% less accuracy to land a negative effect on them. So you might argue that having a stun skill isn't that great. However, speaking again in the context of Team Wars, it's useful to have an immobilizing skill in case you need to immobilize the other monster, you know, the one that's not metal. So this is a skill I would definitely recommend you to run. Now, some people might argue that you don't need this skill at all, because yes, stunning is great, but Pandalfio, keep in mind, is an attacker, and an attacker is essentially there to attack. You don't really need to have an attacker to deny. So when you look at his other skills and you look at this monster's power, again being one of the highest in the games, you're going to reach a point where you can basically one-hit any monster you want to using this monster's other skills. So it might not be that useful to run a stun skill, but I think the only person that can decide whether this skill is good or not is you, because you know where you're at the game. And of course, it also comes down to preference. Maybe you like having an immobilizing skill just in case things don't go your way, so keep that in mind. We move over to Metallic Frenzy. Deals low metal damage to all enemies, may magnetize all targets, requires cooldown. It's an AoE, 30 damage, and it gives magnetize. Most metal attackers have a skill, you know, you do AoE magnetization, and later on they do a 45 damage AoE skill, and that's usually strong enough to wipe out the whole enemy. So obviously this is a skill you might want to consider running. And now we move on to a really interesting skill, really fascinating skill, Thwomp Slam. Deals moderate metal damage, may magnetize target, gains an extra churn. 35 damage, 31 stamina, 3 churn cooldown. Now before I can really talk about this skill, I have to move down and talk about skills group 3. So I'm going to come back to this skill. Skills group 3, we have a skill called Blasting Brawl. 55 damage, 31 stamina, no cooldown, deals heavy special damage, may magnetize target. So it's nice because it's a skill that's special based, so you can use this skill to attack the enemy metal monster, inflict regular damage. You know, you don't need to worry about using a metal attack on a metal monster, and then they get magnetized, so then you can use the metal attack on them and hopefully take them out. And for those of you worried about going up against a Timerion, even if Timerion does cooldowns activated, you'll be able to use Blasting Brawl. And again, this monster is an attacker, so given high enough strength runes, even if the enemy Timerion is to do cooldowns activated on you, because you have a power of 3531, because this attack is 55 damage, and because of your strength runes, and because it's no cooldown, you can potentially one-hit that Timerion, or maybe another monster on the enemy's team. Again, this is definitely a skill worth running, however it's also a skill that only you can really decide if you need it. For example, if you have only level 1 runes, level 1 strength runes, I really wouldn't recommend this skill, because it wouldn't really help you out going up against a Timerion. And then we have a skill called Chomp Chomp, deals very heavy metal damage, may make target bleed, requires cooldown. It's 60 damage, 31 stamina, 2 churn cooldown. Chomp Chomp is that strong single target attack that lots of metal monsters tend to have. The cool thing about this monster is Chomp Chomp is metal based. When we look at Thwomp Slam from skills group 2, it gives an enemy monster magnetized. So you magnetize them and then you gain an extra churn. So again, keep in mind this monster has a high power. You're going to put strength runes on this monster. You start off the game with Thwomp Slam, inflict 35 damage, you magnetize them, which makes metal attacks 50% stronger, and you get an extra churn. Then you can just do Chomp Chomp, which is 60 damage. Again, you have a high power, you have strength runes, they're magnetized, you're doing Chomp Chomp, and if for whatever reason they live, they shouldn't live, but if they do live, you give them bleeding, which takes away 10% of their health, and at the same time reduces their power by 19%. Such a good combo, Thwomp Slam, Chomp Chomp, just super good. You'll have no problem taking out the main enemy threat. So if you ever need a metal attacker for Team Wars, Pandalfio looks like he's going to be the main to-go monster. Being able to do Thwomp Slam and Chomp Chomp is so good. But actually, let's scroll down to Mushroom Munchies. Deals moderate metal damage to all enemies, may make all targets bleed, requires cooldown. So look at this skill. It's an AoE, it's 40 damage though. 40 damage and it gives bleeding. Now, going back to Thwomp Slam, again, I want you guys to keep in mind that this monster has a high power, he's going to have strength runes, so possibly you'll be able to do Thwomp Slam, inflict that 35 damage, give magnetized, and then do Mushroom Munchies, and maybe, just maybe, that initial Thwomp Slam plus Mushroom Munchies will be enough to kill one enemy target, while at the same time inflicting residual damage to the 2 other enemy monsters, and at the same time give them bleeding. So maybe you don't need a Thwomp Slam Chomp Chomp, maybe you'll be able to do Thwomp Slam Mushroom Munchies. So that's what makes this monster really good. There's so many different possibilities, and he's just super strong. Now of course, like usual, you could always do Metallic Frenzy, AoE magnetize, and then do Mushroom Munchies, AoE bleeding, AoE metal bleeding. So there's just so many different routes to go with this monster. Now to talk a little more about Thwomp Slam, what I like about this skill is that extra churn. So if you want, you can do Thwomp Slam on an enemy monster and magnetize him, and then use your extra churn to do Shocking Smash and immobilize another enemy monster. And that way you kind of prep the game up to your liking. You magnetize the enemy monster you want to take out next turn, and at the same time you immobilize the enemy monster that was a threat. So I really like this monster. The skills I personally would run are Shocking Smash, Thwomp Slam, Chomp Chomp, and Mushroom Munchies. Now of course if you wanted to, you can do Metallic Frenzy, Thwomp Slam, Chomp Chomp, Mushroom Munchies. There's nothing wrong about having all metal attacks, because you have a lot of magnetizing skills, so it doesn't even matter if you go up against a metal monster in Team Wars. It's not really that bad. But the reason I personally like Shocking Smash is again for that immobilizing stun skill. Even though Pandalfio is an attacker, I'll be the first to admit that my strength runes aren't strong enough to be able to one-hit a monster using Shocking Smash. I don't have the level 10 strength runes, I don't have level 9s, so that's why I would do this skill set. But if you wanted to, you can do the Metallic Frenzy, Mushroom Munchies combo. There's just so much diversity with this monster. Blasting Brawl, it's also a good skill. Again, if you have high enough strength runes, you can definitely utilize the skill, but at the same time, you don't really need to. But for most players, I really don't know if you can utilize it that well. The best thing about this monster really is that Thwomp Slam attack. The fact that it magnetizes and gives you an extra turn just really makes him really versatile. But at the end of the day, he is an attacker, so for runes, you would probably want to run 2 strength runes and a speed rune, or quite possibly a team speed rune. That really depends where you're at in the game. If a lot of your enemies don't have high level runes, I'm speaking level 8, 9, 10 runes, you can get away with a team speed. You don't necessarily need a single speed rune. 2 strength runes I think is ideal for this monster, and in terms of what teams he works best in, he is an attacker like I said, so any team you just need to have a main immobilizer, whether it be Cabinfish, whether it be Timerion, whether it be anyone who can AoE stun, AoE possess, AoE freeze, and you're good to go. I do think this monster will definitely be used in Team Wars, not so much for defending, but definitely for offense. That Thwomp Slam, Chomp Chomp combo, I swear, I just can't get over it. It's so good. Or even Thwomp Slam, Mushroom Munchies, Thwomp Slam, Shocking Smash. It's just a really good attack. Or whether you want to Metallic Frenzy, Mushroom Munchies. If you do want to do that though, Metallic Frenzy, Mushroom Munchies, I do have to say, there's lots of stronger metal monsters that have that same combo. That metal damage AoE magnetization and that metal damage strong AoE. So if you want to do the Metallic Frenzy Mushroom Munchies, I don't think Pandalfio is for you. You can look at other metal monsters. And that concludes my analysis on Pandalfio. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like. Also let me know who you want me to analyze next week, and I'll see you guys next time.